Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the ODPP Café. I must start by apologizing for the delay in the start of the show. We normally start at 8, but because of technical issues, we are starting now. Our apologies for that. So welcome to the show once again. We air live on Facebook and on YouTube, and we are also on Twitter where conversations are going on. Today, we are very privileged to have the boss himself on the show, the DPP himself. But as usual, before we do that, we are going to look at what Joseph Irungu Joey, as we call him on social, and Jackie Maribe. David Duncan of NTSA confirmed that the vehicle allegedly used to transport Joey to hospital belonged to Maribe. Job Maina from the National Bureau confirmed the identity details of the two accused. Chief Police Inspector Frederick Geshuki took court through a trajectory movement of Maribe's vehicle as captured by CCTV camera while on the major roads in Nairobi. Again, it confirms that the cameras work, if you ever ask yourself, the way we normally do ask ourselves. So that is the Monica Kimani murder case. And the prosecution presented 3 witnesses, as I've said before, earlier. And of course, NTSA gave their story there. So prosecution team, Catherine Waniki and Gikui Geshuhi, have so far presented 25 witnesses in the trial with 8 more to go. The hearing continues before Lady Justice Grace Nzioka on 15th November 2021. So this case is ongoing, the Monica Kimani murder case, and we'll keep updating you as we go along. So the other news is on the NCAJ, the National Commission on Administration of Justice. I hope I got that right. The ODPP joined the NCAJ in launching its strategic plan 2021 to 2026. The NCAJ launched its strategic plan, which strengthens its coordination mechanisms for improved access to justice, especially for vulnerable groups. The plan will enhance criminal justice sector reforms, support court users committees to coordinate administration of justice, it's quite a mouthful, at the local level, establish partnerships and stakeholder engagement mechanisms, and establish a roadmap to institutionalize the NCAJ as a statutory agency. So this was happening at the coast, and that's where we are now. The NCAJ was launching its strategic plan. I hope you followed that on the news. There was quite a lot going on about that. During the meeting, NCAJ launched several publications on guidelines on SGBV, case management protection and care form, children court practice directions, SOPs on children protection units, policy on continuous professional development, and the curriculum on child care. I hope you got that. It's quite a mouthful to read, but a lot was launched yesterday, and we'll see how that pans out in terms of implementation. The other case we have here is on the Kenya Pipeline graft case. The hearing continued for the case involving former MD, Joe Sang, and 5 other former management officials of KPC for illegally constructing an oil jetty in Kisumu that led to the loss of over 1.9 billion. Prosecution's Faith Mwela presented John Mwende, a senior superintendent and forensic document examiner from DCI as a witness. He ascertained that the signatures appended on the documents for the construction of the jetty belonged to the accused only in Kenya. A loss of 1.9 billion on constructing an oil jetty in Kisumu. Quite a story there. Prosecution's 17th witness, Chief Inspector Gilbert Kitalia of Serious Crimes Unit, told court that there were procurement irregularities in contracting Southern Engineering Company, CAS Consulting Limited, that offered consultancy services. So the case is ongoing, and we'll get you more updates as we go along. And then there's a man in Wajir who was sent to 25 years for murder. He's been accused of killing a 7-year-old boy. The prosecution had submitted that Liban cut off the boy's neck using a knife while grazing goats with others in Tarbaj, Wajir County. Quite a sad story there. Prosecution's Job Mulati proved to court that the blood-stained weapon, which the accused was still in possession of, was the one used to commit the heinous crime. The matter was before Lady Justice Abida Aroni. And finally, to our topic of today, the final story we are telling you here, then we get into our topic of today. It just leads us to the story of today. The DPP Nurdin Haji addressed the delegation at NCAJ conference in Mombasa. He lauded the progress made in the past decade and commended the NCAJ for providing a platform for effective consensus-based forum to engage in discussions on the administration of justice and reform in the justice sector. So this was again about the NCAJ, and like I'm saying, it's just leading us into our story today, where we have the DPP as the guest, as the only guest today. And ours is never the hot seat. It's just about a discussion on the criminal justice system, so don't expect heat, just discussions. So the DPP also called for unity among different stakeholders in the dispensation of justice and asked them to have selfless desire to be servants of the people of Kenya. So if you heard the news yesterday, you must have heard the boss talking about an analogy of the cheetah and the lion. And I'm just going to ask him to do it again, because clearly we didn't get it right. And I've seen a story in the People Daily also talking about the analogy but never got it right. So I want to invite you again. Kuwa Mehenga, tell us the story, Tena. Yes, so what is this about the cheetah and the lion?
You are smiling cheekily.
Because it's a very interesting story.
I was just, what I was trying to say in a nutshell is that the Constitution is very clear. It sets out everybody's mandate and the parameters each person should operate within. And that you cannot keep on knowing. Everybody in the jungle knows that, or in the forest knows that the grass is green. But here the donkey was screaming, saying that the grass is blue. And I think the person who was adjudicating it, the king, the lion, he felt that he did not need to penalize the donkey, who was probably insane, but instead penalized the cheetah, who knew that the grass was green but was still arguing with this individual who was loud. Unajua mdomo ya donkey ni mkubwa sana.
Sauti
Piga kelele kila pahali. Saying that the grass is blue. So in essence, I think what I was saying is that as ODPP, we have been quiet. People have been targeting the ODPP and of course myself on the issue of who has what mandate. The Constitution is clear, and we don't have to keep on screaming that our mandate is to prosecute. I think everybody knows that, and everybody is seeing that we are the ones prosecuting. So the donkeys can continue
saying the grass is blue.
So
the People Daily today, just like the donkey insisted that the grass is blue, and maybe that is why we are here today. We still need to say that the grass is green for people to get it.
Well, we don't have to insist. let those who want to say it is blue continue saying it's blue. Because everybody else will see what the truth is.
So maybe just to get into the discussion, why was this office made independent? What was the spirit of the Constitution?
I think we all know historically, one of the biggest challenges was that the police also had the powers to prosecute. Or it was actually delegated by the Office of the Attorney General to them. But the police had this role of investigating and prosecuting. And there were a lot of abuses leading up to the multi-party era. Later on also the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution. Historically, people have always been wary because when an institution holds powers, then they are likely to abuse it. And I think because of that, then the people who were involved in the second liberation, as we like to refer it, felt that those powers needed to be demarcated very clearly, and each institution be given a clear mandate of what to do. Police to investigate, and the ODPP to prosecute. And these were put as safeguards and checks and balances to ensure that there are no excesses. And in addition, then you had the judiciary. So in essence, if you look at it, it's like a sieving process. The police investigate, the file is presented to the ODPP to look at it and see if it is sufficient and whether there is evidence, and then they proceed to the courts. It is not left to the prosecutor to decide whether you're guilty or not. The courts then look at it and decide whether there is evidence or not. So there is that process that is there to ensure that there are checks and balances.
And we've had this discussion so many times on this show about how the criminal justice system works, but it's still not clear even to the poll watchers every other day. So maybe the other thing is, like we see people mentioning on social and in other discussions, what happens if these prosecutorial powers are shared? What is the impact of that? Or what would be the result of that?
Well, I mean, if Parliament sees the people feel that the powers should be shared, then they must also be ready to consider sharing investigating powers and adjudicating powers also. I think the best thing, first of all, is to professionalize the services, that is prosecution. And in addition, to ensure that we have what I've said, the checks and balances, so that not a single institution will have the monopoly of having every role within itself. Well, as it is right now legally, other institutions can have prosecution powers. That is not a problem. But legally, again, it is the ODPP that oversees the functions of those prosecution powers in the different institutions. But most of these institutions are not necessarily investigating institutions like the police. I think constitutionally it is very clear that the police will investigate. And even if you look at the Constitution and the Police Act, you will see that if there's any unit, outfit like the police that is meant to be established, then it will fall under the Inspector General of Police. And we expect the same for prosecutions. It's not about me, but even whether I'm here or not, any prosecution services that are going to be allowed must fall under the ambit of the ODPP. And if you look at the CPC and other acts, the ODPP will superintend such.
The NCIC has also laid claim to the same. They want prosecutorial powers.
Well, that is the word they want.
They want.
Yeah. Again, even if they are to be given, then constitutionally, the state power to prosecute is for the ODPP.
Yeah.
They will still have to answer
to
the ODPP.
Yes, not to you, but to the ODPP.
No, it's not about me. It's not about me at all.
Yeah.
It's about the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, whether I'm here or you. Yeah.
Okay, so this whole independence, does it give it like a godlike status? Who provides oversight? Who does the checks and balances?
Well, for example, for the ODPP, the Parliament provides oversight. The President himself also, if you look at it constitutionally. And there are many other checks and balances. There is a Public Service Commission that oversees, for example, the removal of the DPP. Of course, there is the Auditor General who comes and audits. We have the Advisory Board within the ODPP. So there's quite a number of checks and balances that are there. And the same question you'll ask, who oversights, for example, the police? If people are asking about the ODPP, again, there is Parliament, there is a Minister, they are also answerable to the President, the same as us. The only difference is we don't have a Minister, but we have the DPP.
The DPP himself. Okay, so do you think you have enough goodwill to execute the mandate of the ODPP?
Yes, I believe we do have the goodwill from the important offices that matter, and we've never complained about that.
Okay, so 4 years later, is it 2018 to now? About 4 years later, vitu ni different kwa ground, ama it is what you foresaw as you joined the office?
Of course, you can never predict. If you could predict the future, then you'd be very well prepared. Things are different. As you know, we are having the problem of interpretation, who can do what and when. But then again, I don't want to start shouting, the grass is green.
Today is about the grass is green. I hope at the end of it will not be penalized by the king for insisting on this story. So with this, there's this tension in the criminal justice system, not just between the ODPP and investigative powers. I've seen there's also judiciary and the executive. So there's all this. Are you just meant to agree on everything? Is tension good?
No. As I said yesterday, tension is healthy. In fact, the way the system has been created, it has been created to ensure that there's healthy tension. And healthy tension means there's no collusion within these institutions to harm the Kenyan, the citizen. But it's to ensure that there are balances and that each one checks the other so that you don't have excesses. So healthy tension is good, and it's actually been created there.
Is this the current one, is it healthy?
It's not healthy. And that's what we are saying, that you do not have to personalize. It is work. When the ODPP says that file haiko tayari, jameni, sio vita.
Okay, that's the other question I wanted to ask. Ukirudisha file, what does that mean? Umekataa kuendelea na kesi? Because people interpret it differently.
No, it doesn't mean necessarily that we have said there's no case. Kwanza, when you return the file and ask people to cover, it means that there is some evidence there. But it's just not sufficient for us to go to court. Because for criminal matters, unlike civil matters, civil matters is on a probability of a 50-50%. But on criminal matters, it's about beyond reasonable doubt. You must have no doubt whatsoever that that person committed that crime. And that threshold is very high. And that's when we go out and say, now listen, we can see there is some evidence here, and we think if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and get this, we will be good. That's what it means. And in no way are we saying that the investigator is not doing a good job. We have very good investigators who do a great job. But how you present it in court and how the judge scrutinizes is different. And therefore, the prosecutor will ask that the evidence be packaged in a certain way, or evidence be brought that is glaring and is not there.
So that's common practice.
Yes, it's common practice, and everybody knows about it.
I think it almost became, people almost understood that bit of Kurudisha file during this whole issue, Twin Brothers saga, because the nation carried a whole story about that.
I don't know, but you see, we could not take somebody's word, just somebody's word, that we were harassed and beaten, and then you come and discover something different. And this should tell the public the importance of these checks and balances. Because if the police had the powers, this gentleman would have been charged. They would have been in court today, and it would have been very embarrassing, and it would have been a breach and an abuse of the processes. And this is what ODPP is trying to safeguard. We're trying to safeguard against abuses of processes, to ensure that each and every Kenyan is given an opportunity before being charged to give their side of the story, and to ensure that we have sufficient evidence to prove in court that this person has actually committed that crime.
There's this MP, I think, was trying to pass a bill in Parliament, the whole prosecutorial sharing of powers things. And one of the reasons was that the ODPP doesn't have enough capacity to prosecute some cases, like, what is it called, capacity to prosecute cybercrime. And what do you say to that?
So if the ODPP does not have capacity, and I'm not saying that we don't, we do have the capacity. So ODPP does not have capacity, and you go and give an institution that doesn't even have the skills and the means to go and prosecute.
But he said they're trained to do that.
Who are trained to do that?
The investigators are trained more on emerging crimes.
They are trained probably in investigating, but not in prosecuting. I'm sorry, they are two different skills. There is a reason why prosecutors are lawyers and are required to have gone to the law school. You can't have investigators who have not been in law school. starting to prosecute.
Yeah.
Those days are gone. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so the other question I have is the annual report for 2020-2021 reported that you prosecuted over 300 cases. You do prosecute 300 cases annually. And when we did post that on our Twitter page, somebody asked, do you even have capacity to do that? And are we just reporting?
300,000, you mean?
300 cases annually, 300,000 cases.
1,000, yes.
So people are asking, do you have the capacity to do that? And are we only reporting petty crimes?
Well, first of all, the bulk of crimes are petty crimes.
Okay.
That you have to know.
Yeah.
But we are reporting all crimes. And I think even during the COVID, we were able to even break down the different types of crimes that were being committed during the COVID period, and we were covering all of them. And when you talk about 300,000, some of the cases, of course, are not complete. Some of the cases do not necessarily appear at the same time, and they're divided between different prosecutors. So we have the capacity. Of course, we would want to have more. We are recruiting for more, and our aim is to build to the desired capacity. But we do have capacity to deal with those cases, and we've been dealing with them.
Okay. Interesting. So every other time when you hear these new criminal justice sector actors talking, they're always asked, who do you think is the weakest link? And there's always finger pointing. So I wouldn't even ask that, but I want to know what, in your opinion, delays cases, because a lot of the concerns is there's a lot of delay of cases, and the buck stops with you, with the ODPP. So is it true the buck stops with you?
I think it's unfair to say that the buck stops with the ODPP.
Yeah.
There are many reasons as to why cases are delayed. Of course, one is the issue of witnesses. Sometimes they live very far, sometimes they're unavailable. But the other thing is, of course, delay tactics by the defense, and it's something that you cannot do, and you cannot do anything about it. They're within their constitutional rights to challenge some of the decisions that we've made. This usually takes a lot of time. Sometimes it is the prosecutors who maybe have not planned well, or who are overwhelmed. Sometimes it is the judges who are also overwhelmed, and they're not able to listen to all cases at the same time simultaneously. There are limits in everything, as you know. You very well know that the judiciary has been arguing to recruit more, get more people. We have also been arguing that we need to recruit more. But we are dealing with those challenges. That's the most important thing. What we've done, and this is one of the reasons why we are here in Mombasa with the Chief Justice, is to look at how we can fast track some of these things. And we are working on that. We are digitizing to assist the judges to be much more effective, and also us. We are now able to disclose electronically. We don't have to carry the bulk documents. You know, even when you're in court trying to prosecute, first of all, before you go to court, you have to synthesize the case itself. You have to prepare the case. You just don't get a file from the investigators and then go, and you have to read them. You have to go through them. You have to prepare those files. Because you have to make disclosures. What document relates to what witness? What documents relates to what point of law and fact that you're going to argue in court? So there's quite a bit. Then when you take it there, don't forget that the magistrate also has to go through that. The defense lawyers also have to go through those documents also, and understand what the case is all about. So there's that time frame where people are given to appreciate what the case is all about before it is kicked off. And that's why you have pre-trial sessions where you sit down and understand what are these charges and what are the documents and evidence that are being presented. And that's why you have a process of disclosure where the defense has to go. So it is not, sio kitu ati munakaa tu munaanza sio hadithi ya paka na panya ama nini. You know, there's a lot that goes behind it.
The sense.
So it takes time.
Yeah. I just remember that someone said, I think in one of these interviews, that the reason why there's a delay of cases is because the prosecution brings so many witnesses for one case. So is there ever a way you can reduce the number of witnesses you bring for a case?
We are working on that. You know, people also do not seem to understand some of the tactics that we have employed in the last 2-3 years. First of all, there were crucial witnesses, for example, who were involved in the crime, but who are not willing to give the evidence because traditionally, let me put it that way, they were never really compelled to give evidence or to support the prosecution and the investigators in investigating and in getting the evidence. So what we tried, what we decided, is we will charge all of them. So you saw a huge number of people. But you see, over time, we have been able to convert them to witnesses. And this was a tactic that we were using. Unajua, this is like playing chess. If you don't have tactics, then you are likely to lose. So we have applied a number of tactics to ensure that, one, we have the witnesses that we desire, and we are able to then prosecute effectively, especially the big fish. And that's what we've been doing. And it has been yielding results for us, because we've now gotten very good witnesses who are even involved in the crime and can actually tell you we were coerced. Boss ndo alisema tufanye hii na tukafanya. So once the case starts, then we are able to prosecute effectively.
So now, just moving on into the decision to charge, it was launched just the other day. And what informed it? Why did we need the decision to charge guidelines?
You see, first of all, you have to start with the Constitution, and the Constitution is very clear that the power of the decision to charge lies with the ODPP. So naturally, we must have guidelines for that. What does it mean? What does decision to charge mean? Because there was that confusion as to who has that mandate. So you had the donkeys saying,
it still is a problem,
blue.
Right?
Yes, of course. They're the ones who are saying the grass is blue when it's green. So just to make sure that they understand that the grass is green,
you have to launch guidelines.
Yeah, we had to launch the guidelines, demarcate, make the fence look very well, good manicure it, and so that they understand, first of all, this is grass, and if you're looking for blue grass, then it's not here. So the decision to charge outlines to the prosecutor and also the investigator and anybody else who intends to understand what is it that the ODPP is expected to do. It allows also the public to understand our mandate and also to take us to task if we do not follow the set down rules in the guidelines, in terms of, have you considered whether there is evidence? Is it sufficient? Have you reached the threshold? Have you taken public interest into consideration? And things like that. And it's a guideline for the prosecutor, for the investigator who intends to engage with the prosecutor, the complainants, the accused, and the public in general.
As the Minister for Justice, like you are our Minister for Justice, a lot of things that come up when you talk about the DTC, generally, ile gumzo ya mtaa, ni we have seen evidence, mbona muendi, and then half the time, people push you to prosecute things that are trending for us. And then maybe that is where,
and that's where we have to draw the line, or understand that what you desire is not necessarily going to stand in court. If I was to take everything that is in the social media, then I think the individuals who are trying to say that we are incompetent would actually have a ground to say that we are incompetent. It will not suffice. There must be evidence. It must be investigated. The investigations must be able to bring evidence that, in our opinion, can prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt.
Okay, so the decision to charge high-profile cases rests on you. And there was a circular that went, I think someone leaked something on social that brought a lot of conversation about why should it rest on you for those high profile cases. Does it not show that there's no independence totally within?
No, again, you have to refer to the Constitution. The Constitution places everything on me.
Yes.
The reason why that particular issue was brought up was for us to safeguard against abuses. There have been a lot of abuses in the past. And unfortunately, high-profile cases have been a target of abuse because they simply attract a lot of attention and also money for corruption. So to safeguard against corruption, we have tried to put checks and balances in it. And it's not me who decides, actually. We have a system. There are layers of people who review the files, and once they have reached up to the deputy director in charge of public prosecutions, then at the final end, it is brought to me for my attention and also for a decision to charge jointly, having decided the facts that are there. It's not a one-person show. I mean,
I think
that's
from us, the public, we understand it's a one-person decision.
No.
And like the spotlight is too much on you.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, the spotlight is on me because constitutionally, everything else on the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution derives from not me as Haji, but the seat of the DPP. And the mandate really is on the DPP. So because of the high-profile corruption cases, then a little bit more attention and care needs to be taken. One, because sometimes because of the huge amounts of money involved, it has to be brought to my attention, and a collective decision has to be made on whether a decision to charge has to be preferred. But at the end of it, whatever decision is made, from petty crimes to high-profile crimes, it falls under me. So I've only delegated as the DPP.
Okay.
So all the powers have been delegated to the other prosecutors. Yeah. So that's why, even when you go to court, even if it's Anita, they say the DPP said.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So corruption still is a problem. The president said 2 billion is lost every other day. I mean, what is happening? How else can we win this war against corruption?
Anita, first of all, the issue of respecting the Constitution is one thing that will allow us to be able to fight corruption. As long as that is not realized, and individuals each want to claw the mandate of the other or weaken the other, then we will never be able to fight corruption. Unfortunately, I think the president has created goodwill, but unfortunately now we have this problem of tough wars that is actually derailing the war on corruption. Of course, with it now, the corrupt have gotten an opportunity
they have space to operate.
To do that. If you look at some of the individuals who are out there shouting loudly, they are characters who have, I don't know, for lack of a better word, they're characters who should not even stand before the public. Some of them have been mentioned in very very sensitive cases of crime. Yet they are out there able to challenge and pretend to be people of sometimes if you really want to pick a fight, at least chagua watu wa maana. Sio watu ambaye wengine they are being looked for in foreign jurisdictions for crimes that they've committed.
Yeah.
So Anita, respecting the Constitution is probably what we need to work on first before we can say that we will succeed in fighting corruption.
Yeah, and most of them are actually running for office. I don't know what your thoughts are about it. How else can we stop them from running for office? Like most of them who are actually campaigning now have a case here and there.
I think I have, since 2018, I have been in court trying to ensure that we get a ruling from court clearly stating that if you are charged, not necessarily convicted, but charged, then you should not be able to run for office. And for example, if you are a governor, you should not be operating as governor.
Some are even on murder charges and they are running for office.
Running for office or still in office. It's unfortunate, Anita. Yeah. I know I have seen a lot in social media, people asking, for example, about Obado. Obado's case is in court.
Yes.
We have argued in court that he should not be in office, but we have not been given those orders. There is Babu Owino's case, it is in court. Yeah. People should know that. We have not, it's not been released or anything, it is in court. And
but just on Babu, maybe just a bit, because you've mentioned it. They sort of have made amends. He went for the funeral of DJ Evolve's mother.
That one is not here or there.
Yeah.
Sasa, this is the state. It's not about these individuals attending, looking remorseful.
Yeah.
The case continues. It is in court. And we will continue prosecuting. Okay. All of them.
Yeah. A lot of questions have been asked about that, and that's quite interesting. And then again now...
The problem is, I think that a perception has been created that the case is not in court. It's in court.
Yeah.
Obado, the one of Babu Owino, there's the one of Maribe.
Yeah.
All these cases are in court.
Yeah.
All the cases that have been mentioned in the media that ODPP has not prosecuted, they are being prosecuted. For example, the case of the LSK President Harvey. They went to court and they got an injunction to stop us from proceeding. We cannot, for us as ODPP, we respect court orders, and like some other quarters, we respect court orders, and we will continue respecting them. We cannot prosecute if there's a court order saying that we shouldn't.
You don't continue. Where do you even prosecute it?
Yeah, precisely.
The court has said you can
if you look at the dam cases, it is in court, and we are proceeding.
The Kimwarera and Aror?
That's the one I'm saying, the Kimwarera and Aror, it is in court, and we are proceeding. I think on Monday you will see that for the next few months we will proceed very well. We have managed to reduce the number of the accused, basically the question that you are asking me, so that we are able to prosecute this effectively. Of course, yes, there was a delay, but part of the delay was occasioned by the documentations, part of it by individuals who are not in Kenya, and that's why we decided then to separate the cases, because some of the individuals, the Italians, are not submitting themselves to Kenyan jurisdiction. We were also waiting for what you call MLAs, some of the evidence coming from outside the country. Now we have most of that, and we are ready to proceed.
Yeah. It's good you mentioned the MLA, the case about Okemwa and Gishuru.
Yes.
I mean, where do you stand? Why is there a tussle?
You see, that one is in court, and I think a ruling is coming soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get the directions from the Supreme Court.
Okay. And I always want to ask this. Why does the accused seem to have more rights? Like the Constitution provides more for the accused than for the victims. And maybe that is what is actually, I'm imagining, it's what is causing this noise. Most of us, the public is a victim of corruption. We feel like we are not catered for very well. Is it true? Am I just reading like a layman?
No, of course, you'll probably think that the accused has more rights.
Yeah.
But this is just to safeguard an individual's to safeguard an individual's right,
Yeah.
civil liberty, because
Yeah.
here we are seeking to take away your civil liberties.
Yes.
So of course there will be a bit of protection around you,
Yeah.
so that you have an opportunity to defend yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
But the accused also, the complainant has, and the victim
Yeah.
has as much rights as the accused.
Okay. I'm just looking at the social media. I'm just about to get that into a bit. But I wanted to ask again on sentencing. To what extent does the ODPP play a role in sentencing?
We can only suggest, but at the end of it, it is at the discretion of the judges. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we've seen sort of slaps on the wrist for things we imagine people will go in for long or pay more. But then we see people, like the Wario case, for example. There was a lot of uproar about it. And it sort of came back to the ODPP. Why?
You see, and that's sometimes the problem.
Yeah.
we are blamed for things that are not even our role. It's not ours.
Yeah.
We put the case across. We argued very well. At the end of it, the discretion lies on the judiciary. And we'll never blame the judiciary.
Yeah.
Just like we should not be blamed if we say we are not ready to charge or we are not going to charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the same thing.
Okay. So I'll just start by asking these questions before we just wind up. The show is normally 1 hour, so let's just try and do this. Ondieki Matunda on Facebook says, does the ODPP reply back to petitions? We gave the DPP a copy of our petition when he visited Isiolo some time back, involved Kiingiru, a water project, where 152 million was misappropriated, but no replies.
You see, that was a request, and I cannot reply when I don't have the evidence. So what we did is we wrote to the various respective institutions,
Yeah.
and we also, if I'm not wrong, requested for investigations to be done. So unless we get a file or a report, we cannot proceed or do anything. People need to understand that ODPP does not investigate.
Okay.
We don't have those powers.
Maybe we just need to scream that so loud that you do not investigate.
We don't, and that's why I said the mandates are very important.
Yeah.
And we are not even asking for the powers to investigate, unlike other institutions asking for the power to prosecute.
Maybe you should. Jerry Othor says, Hajj has done so well. We pray Allah to grant you more years to continue serving Kenyans. So some of them are comments, questions, and just people just joining us in the discussion. Let me see this other person. Bwana Haji, Oyugi Weke says, Bwana Haji is really inspiring and exact in his words and professional. So you're a great teacher. Someone says that. Just give me a minute, I scroll. People asking about the jobs they applied for.
Yes.
And I think a shortlisting has been done already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask, what does the success, are we only about convictions?
No, but that's the other thing people need to understand.
Yeah.
That the way things are framed within the justice sector, there are instances when you can get a conviction and instances when you cannot. The instances when we are humans, you can err, be believing that you have the evidence, but you really don't. There are instances where you cannot get a conviction, basically because you know, on technical grounds, you could have lost. Maybe you forgot, or the investigator or somebody forgot to compile some pieces of evidence, or did compile it without having warrants and things like that. Sometimes it happens, and it's not about convictions. It's about access to justice, so that everybody has the opportunity to get that access to justice, including the accused. Because sometimes, Anita, you can be accused wrongfully, and you must have that access to justice and that opportunity to defend yourself. So prosecution is not necessarily about convictions.
Yeah.
I know it might not be popular and it might not sound popular, especially when it comes to issues of corruption. But the truth of the matter, it's about access to justice, and that's why you have all these layers. That's why you start with the you get the person accusing going to the investigator, and then the investigator investigates, present a file, the prosecutor looks at it, decides, yes, I can go and prosecutes, and at the end, a judge sits and listens and then makes the final determination whether you're guilty or not.
Okay, Rafael Muredi asks, rumor has it that sometimes cases that you refer back for more investigations find their way in courts through the back door. Is it possible?
It could be possible, maybe, but it needs to be, I cannot say that it can't, but we have really put safeguards in place. We have what you call the central intake, and now we have digitized that process, and it's not that easy. But at times, it could. That's why we have said there is corruption, even in the ODPP, there is corruption in the police, there is corruption even in the judiciary. So there's a likelihood it can happen. And if it is brought to our attention, we will take immediate action.
Last time we had DPP filed for Homa Bay County officials ready for prosecution. What happened?
When?
I just said last time.
Yes. I
think Homa Bay County officials were to be prosecuted, and then it went silent.
There must have been some challenges in the High Court or something. We just can't go silent just for the sake of it.
Okay. Great job, sir. Keep it up. Keep fighting crime and upholding the values of, I think, COK or GOK, and executing the duties of the DPP. So not everybody's complaining. So this again is about internships. Give me a minute. So on YouTube, we have quite the discussion here. Someone asked, Marcus Mose asks, when investigation is compromised, there is no prosecution. So what is the solution when a case file gets lost? It's time we have a soft copy of criminal cases. Again, it goes back to digitization.
Yes, and as ODPP, what we are doing now is we are actually capturing all the files digitally if they are brought to us. If it's still at the investigation process, we have no access, and that will depend on the various investigating bodies.
Yesterday in your speech, I think you talked about Wadilifu and e-filing.
Yes, and this is what I was referring to. We have what you call the central intake, where in each jurisdiction within the counties, there'll be a central place where all the files come in, and they're documented, they're captured, and then put into the case management system, which then goes to the prosecutor, who will then, once they're satisfied with the file, who will then file it to the courts. And this is there to safeguard the public, and it is there for the public also to be able to scrutinize. This system will be available once it's up and running all over the country. It will be available for audit by the public and the different auditors who can come in. We already have an inspectorate team within the ODPP that oversights the implementation of this and the performance of the prosecutors. Before, we did not have that. It was not operationalized under the ODPP Act, but now we have it, and we have oversight, and very soon we are going to be able to say this is what we've done as ODPP, but also individually as prosecutors. This is the output that we have.
Okay. Sweet Ambash says, every reasonable person can see the progress the office has made. Keep up the good job, boss. ODPP are not investigators. Someone is trying to educate people here again, which is quite good. We are not looking for powers to investigate haki na usawa. This is Evelyn Ombele. The road to success, someone says, Anne says, the road to success is littered with obstacles. While others give up and turn around, you push your way through. Congratulations, DPP. You have quite some support here today. I am being accused of looking at my phone too much. Let me try and lift up my head. Give me a minute. Okay. So someone says, let every agency stick to its constitutional mandates. Healthy tension is indeed healthy, and the DPP is carrying out his mandate, and this country will be a better place as other agencies do their part. So I think that is just one of those things that you keep saying about the mandate here as well. Again, shortlisting. People really want to work for the ODPP.
Okay, let me also put something into perspective. You know, constitutionally, you're supposed to achieve a certain percentage of representation of Kenya. And secondly, also gender. Well, in ODPP we have over 3/4 are women, over 3/4.
Yeah.
And now we are purposely trying to ensure that that is balanced, so that you have a balance and you have the 2/3 women. It has gone beyond that.
Yeah.
Secondly, unfortunately, when I came in, ODPP did not have the representation of Kenyans. So now we are purposely ensuring that it has the representation that is required constitutionally under Article 6 of Kenyans. So you will see that there are certain regions that have been given preferential, and you will see that men or boys have been given
shortlisting.
But this is purpose,
Yeah.
because we are trying to ensure that we're within the Constitution under Chapter 6. This is what we are doing, but everybody is going to be given that opportunity to come in when we have. There is more recruitment that we will do in December, and I'm sure there will be more opportunity for people to come on board.
Someone said that a lot of the people who are shortlisted were Muslims, that you had to be Muslim to be shortlisted.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's very unfair.
Yeah.
Because then you can also argue that a lot of other recruitments are Christians.
Yeah.
But that's not the issue. Maybe it is that policy whereby we are trying now to ensure that it represents the face of Kenya. That people might see that there may be more names from certain areas. Yeah.
And it was on merit anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of it was merit. Abu Ramal asks the DPP about the case of Garissa Governor Ali Korane and the shooting of one Idris Mukhtar.
Yeah. The case, the corruption case is in court, and the shooting is also in court. You see, people cannot, again, because you expect, or because there's certain theories, or conspiracy, that they expect me to go and charge the governor of Garissa for murder. Where is the evidence?
Yeah.
The evidence must be there. It is the file that was brought to us, and I cannot just wake up one day and start charging the governor of Garissa because somebody feels that because they had some differences with somebody, then he should be charged.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
I think again the whole evidentiary, the whole discussion about evidence and public interest is something that needs to be discussed more, because we look at it from, we are not lawyers, we look at it from just our layman's perspective and expect that what you see is what I see is what you should see.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah. Okay. So I won't be able to read everything on social. But let me say this, just as Omolo says, ASECA obligates you to conclude corruption cases against public officers within 24 months. What do you intend to do with the many cases against public officers unlawfully pending for over 24 months?
It does not obligate me to finish within 24 months.
Yeah.
I think he has misinterpreted the clause. It's not even up to me whether I can conclude a case or not, and this is what I've been saying. Really, the conclusion of cases is also driven by the calendar of the courts, and most of the time we are at the mercy of the court and the diary. Not in a bad way, but practically that's how it is. And I think we have discussed with the CJ, and she's going to give the anti-corruption court more capacity.
Yeah.
They have already gazetted the magistrates, and hopefully we will get more so that we can be able to move faster.
Okay. So good job, sir. Is private prosecution feasible in Kenya? Brian O asks.
Yes, it is. But you
what
have to
is private prosecution?
Well,
go to court?
yeah, you can go to court and say that you want to prosecute and not the ODPP, and you can be given leave by court to do that. But in the same breath, the ODPP can also seek to take over the case. And sometimes we oppose, especially when we have already dealt with the file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that is possible. What is the ODPP's view about enjoining the EACC in the fight against corruption? But I think we work together.
About?
Somebody saying,
yeah.
What is the ODPP's view about enjoining the EACC in the fight against corruption?
First of all,
yeah.
EACC has been legislated specifically as a special body to deal with corruption.
Yeah.
And I think they are the right body to deal with corruption because they have the skills, they have the means, and the government has invested heavily on EACC to fight corruption. They have auditors, they have forensic accountants, forensic auditors, they have engineers, they have accountants, they have lawyers, they have people who can understand the complexity of corruption cases. And I think they are the right people who should be doing corruption cases. And really, I think as ODPP, when it comes to dealing with corruption matters, we are very comfortable with the EACC, how they package their cases, how they present it. We have no issues when we raise issues with them and say that we think this file is not
professional.
They understand that the questions we are raising are actually professional, and so we have a very cordial relationship. And I think we are going to refocus as ODPP and work with EACC in fighting corruption, because I think there was probably an oversight on our side to have thought that people without the skills can be able to do and fight corruption. Yet people who had the skills, the EACC, even when you look at the name Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, who have been given the capacity and the mandate, I think those are the people that we'll work with effectively in fighting corruption. Yeah.
Paul Makumi asks, why is the capacity of advocates watching brief for complainants on criminal matters limited by the ODPP?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question. Why?
Just read it. Why is the capacity of advocates watching brief for complainants in criminal matters limited by the ODPP?
Well, I don't think it's limited by the ODPP. It's probably limited by court.
Yeah.
But of course, sometimes you don't want the person holding brief convoluting. You don't want them to come and maybe either interfere with or I don't want to say disrupt. You know, sometimes if you're not in the same field and you don't have the same access, you can go in court and mess up the case.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful how they come in.
Okay.
Yeah. But we have no problem with that if it is well coordinated and worked.
I'm just seeing a question here that confirms we are still not getting it as a people. So Sultan's verdict says, why don't you give the EACC a go-ahead to investigate the DCI? Because he is being used as a political machinery to frustrate Kenyans.
No. You see, and this is the thing, we cannot personalize issues. DCI as a person is a friend.
Yeah.
And
it's all work.
It's just ni kazi tu, hakuna ubaya.
Yeah. I think we like taking sides as Kenyan. We're always ready to spoil for a good fight. So there's a lot of commendation. Thank you. He's doing a good job. Thank you for being clear about this. Are
you sure there's nothing negative?
I am. I'm reading like the Sultan's is negative. Maybe on let me see on Twitter. Just give me a phone. So somebody has asked again about DJ Vol's case, and I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
And I think when we started out, we talked about most of the things that people had a question about. But let me just ask. So somebody, defender on Twitter says, why do the ODPP allow to DCI to make decisions on to charge in court? Do they, first of all?
No, they don't.
They don't charge in court.
No.
So he's referencing a case, the famous KRA cases. I noted even the DPP is not aware of the investigation report. How would it be?
Which one now?
The KRA cases.
Which one? There's so many KRA cases.
I think the one that had so many KRA officials arrested. I think a year or so back, like so many of them.
No.
Yeah.
I think we were part of that case.
So he says prosecutors go through the files while in court.
No.
Yeah.
And this is why we have the decision to charge.
Yeah.
I think traditionally that's what was being done.
Yeah.
A file is brought,
Yeah.
you are forced to charge.
Yeah.
And this is part of the tensions that we have, that we are now demanding that a file cannot just be brought and a prosecutor is expected to just charge without even looking at it.
The case.
So we have to look at it. It has to be prepared. If it's not ready,
Yeah.
it goes back and it is prepared accordingly.
Right.
If you look at those Ndichu's brothers, they just brought the file a day later, and it was not ready.
Yeah.
So we said no, go and cover these areas, and it was not out of bad faith or anything, but a lot of things were missing in the file. We are doing this to safeguard Kenyans. We are not doing it because for our own good. No.
Yeah.
We are doing it to safeguard Kenyans so that those abuses that were there before are no longer there. And we will not allow Kenyans their rights to be trampled like that.
Yeah.
We must be prepared. There must be evidence before we can proceed.
Of course, the Top Cohen case comes up. Somebody asks, what about the late Top Cohen case?
What about it?
The Judge Sankale. They say you refused
that matter is in court.
Yeah.
We have put our side of the story.
Yeah.
Let them go and check it. I don't want to be blamed later on.
For saying things.
Yeah. But we have reasons as to why we have not charged Justice Sankale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reasons have been presented to court.
Yeah. If the evidence is not there, it's not there.
So Ras Legacy, I hope you've been answered. And the guy who also asked about Top Cohen, the matter is in court and you have to wait. So give me a sec, I get again. Somebody's asking about your mandate in Kenya. And maybe for clarity is, what's the difference between prosecutorial, the investigations you lead? Like, can you ask the police to investigate? No,
that is asking. So I'm not doing.
You're not doing it.
I'm directing. I can constitutionally I can direct the IG to start investigation on a particular matter.
Yeah.
But I'm not investigating. It is them.
Okay. All right. I think we have to come to an end to this. We'll keep on getting these comments on social media and respond to them. I think what was burning for people a lot was the clarity on the mandate. And of course, the small cases, the Cohen, the Kimwarera, and all those that were in court. So I want to thank you for coming to the show, and we'll invite you again to come.
Thank you. You know, Anita, just as a parting shot, I will use Michelle Obama's saying. Michelle Obama said, as they go low, we go high.
You don't go low with them?
No, and that's what the ODPP will do.
Yeah.
We'll go low, we'll go high.
Yeah.
As they go low, and our fidelity is to the Constitution and integrity, for the sake of Kenyans, and to ensure that mashtaka tunafanya ni mashtaka yenye haki na usawa.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for your comments on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We will definitely have some responses being typed out by the experts who are on standby. They will definitely respond to you. The DPP has been here and has given clarity on the independence of the office and what they are doing so far, and of course the challenges they have, but still they plan to go high. So as you go low, they go high. And of course, he says the fidelity is to the Constitution. I thank you so much, and I wish you a good weekend ahead. Let's meet again next week for a different discussion. God bless.